This Week in Startups is brought to you by Squarespace. Start building your website today at squarespace.com. Enter offer code TWiST at checkout to get 10% off. Squarespace. Build it beautiful.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis, and we host this show twice a week, 104 times a year, and we've been doing so for over 6 years. I don't even know what episode this is, but we're getting close to 600. We're well over 500 episodes. And what we do on this program is we try to talk to companies that have crazy ideas that might, if they work, change the world. Now, most of the companies are going to fail. 7, 8 out of 10 are going to fail. They're going to go away. But when a company does work, when it becomes one of those 2 out of 10 or the 10% that really meaningfully change the world, well, it can have a big impact. Now, one of the big impacts we've all been debating for the past year or two is artificial intelligence. Now, we had this debate 20 years ago, and we kind of shelved it because we got so distracted by this internet and by mobile technology and a lot of other stuff going on in the world that artificial intelligence, machine learning, it didn't seem like it was that important. But now we have a resurgence. Broadband has been solved, computing has been solved, storage has been solved. A lot of the big issues of our time have been solved. But artificial intelligence, machine learning, this kind of stuff has not been yet solved. And you have products out there like IBM's Watson and other services that are hoping to bring it to startup companies and maybe make things work a little bit faster. Now, one of those companies that everybody's been talking about, and I've been hoping to have on the program, is x.ai. Dennis Mortensen is the founder and CEO. They've raised a bunch of money for what most people, I guess, refer to as a virtual assistant. I don't know if that's an insult or not.
I think that seems about fair. We call it an intelligent agent ourselves, but tomato.
An intelligent agent?
Yes.
Which reminds me of General Magic back in the day. Do you remember that company, General Magic?
Yes.
Yeah.
I am old enough, sadly,
to remember General Magic.
Yes.
Explain to the audience what that was, and then explain to them what you're doing, and is it in some way inspired by that?
So, I think when we say virtual assistants, we have some memory of being able to ask some assistant a question. Say, Siri, what's the time in Singapore?
Yeah.
Cortana, could you add some bling to my alarm for tomorrow morning, 6:20 a.m., please? And I think that's just wonderful. What we think of as intelligent agents is this ability to give this entity a job, something which I don't want to do. And it could be something as simple as meetings. So I can say, hey, Amy, could you help me set something up with Jason when he's in New York, come early next month, please? And once I told her that, I don't want to hear from her.
Right.
I just want you to do what I told you to do.
And people are raving about the product because people who use it love it. Now, what I've heard, though, is that this is an artificial intelligence. There's a human who's doing this. Is that true? What's going on here?
So we are...
Is it like you got a little magic box, but it's actually a bunch of humans in Manila doing it?
So it's not. So
Okay.
we are 60 propeller heads in some Manhattan basements, and we sat there for the last 2 years, which is why we look a little bit tired.
Yeah.
And it is certainly kind of half crazy because it's not even obvious that it can be solved.
Right.
But I think both you and I can agree here that it is fucking romantic. If we can take something that used to be a human process,
Right.
10 billion meetings being set up in the US every year, and turn it into a machine process.
Right.
That said, though, it is not something where you sit alone and think up some code for where now we've solved it. You need to go train. Just like in any one of those 50 Google self-driving cars, they have a safety driver. What's his job? Not really to drive the car. It's not like when you're going to buy one of those cars, you're going to look back and say, who's that? Oh, that's the Google guy. He comes with the car.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. So right now we are actually just annotating and labeling and verifying meetings massively. Little kind of time, date, location.
Right.
anal little things, because the more we get of those, the more we can train and the
Got it.
smarter she becomes.
So I just sent you an email.
Yep.
You can pull it up here. I just sent you like a quick email, and I said, hey, in this fictional thing, I'm coming to New York in March. You see my email there. Now everybody in the world is going to see my email, which is fine. Good, didn't have it there. Hey, I'm in New York in March, coffee. And I said it purposefully, not like I would like to set up a meeting. I just said, in New York, so it knows it knows New York, it knows March, and then I put coffee ? I didn't say, would you like to have coffee? Because I'm trying to fuck with your AI a little bit there.
And this is what happens all the time. You probably have 10x what I get in my inbox, but I certainly have enough in my inbox for where, hey, Dennis, I'm in New York, you got time to meet up, and this and that.
Okay.
And it just hurts. It's not that I don't want to meet up with people. It's that I don't want to schedule it.
Got it. Okay, so let me see you schedule this with
So
me.
I would simply
Now you call it Amy or Andrew, or your assistants.
So I call it Amy, because that's where I got started. So Amy Ingram here will be CC'd in, and I'll write, sure, I am up for, sorry.
Oh yeah, your iPhone autocomplete game's a little weak there.
Because I'm doing half Danish, I'm up for that.
I'm up for that. Got it.
Cool. And I click send.
So not even a yes in there. Yeah.
Because we want very much for this to be syntax free.
Got it.
It shouldn't be so that my mom needs to kind of figure out that, you need to write yes or meeting call on Thursday. No, just speak to it like, I really hired a human assistant.
Got it. And you CC'd this email address. What was the email address you were CC'd? Is
Amy
that like a...
at x.ai.
So you CC'd Amy at x.ai.
Yep.
She basically is your algorithm.
Yep.
You're a registered user. I am not.
Correct.
So since you're a registered user, it knows your schedule in March.
So right now, she will receive my email, figure out that Dennis is somebody which she works for. She'll see that Jason is not somebody which she works for.
Yet.
She'll see what you asked me to participate in. She'll see whether I kind of verified that and pick up on the March part and see my availability, my preferences. I don't do meetings at 10 p.m. and so on and so forth, and then send you an email.
Got it. So you've given it a little bit of training. You told it what your windows are for scheduling.
Yes.
That's fine. And then now that you said
but
yes.
Just like you would do with a traditional human assistant, right?
Right.
If you hired somebody tomorrow, you'll bring her into the office and say, hey, so this is how I like to run my calendar. Monday to Friday, 9 to 7. I need a little bit of buffer time in between meetings. Trying to do them at my office, about 45 minutes. And then over the next 3 months, you would probably kind of punch her in the face day in, day out until she gets it.
Yeah.
And say, hey, 8 p.m. on a Friday, 8 meetings in one day, that's not fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then slowly she'll adopt and figure out what is it that I
You
need to
haven't met
do.
my assistant. She would literally throw me over a table. She's about a foot taller than me. But yes, I get your point. If your assistant, you would fire your assistant if they didn't get it right. So Amy.xi, or you can use Andrew because hey, you could have a male assistant if you want to. Will then figure this out, and then what do I get on the other side? What am I going to get on my phone?
So
because I'm not a member of this.
Exactly.
Right?
So in a moment for where she figured out that she doesn't work for you, she'll simply just send you an email for where you wouldn't even know whether she's machine-driven or human-driven, and it probably doesn't even matter for you. All that you care about is that there was this guy called Dennis, which I wanted to meet up with. He CC'd in his assistant, and now she's going to email you and say, hey, do you got time to meet up with Dennis this and that day?
Of the queries that you do currently, how many of them have human intervention? Are you checking every single one to make sure they work? Do you have like a spot checking? How are you when you're doing the training of the car? Where are we at with the training of the car? In other words, is it on a test track or you're out in the real world?
So we're out in the real world. That's actually a very good analogy.
Yeah.
So we're not in the test track anymore. So what happens here is that the first thing that will kind of be executed when the email arrives is that it kind of explodes into 1,000 different little pieces for where all the temporal data, dates, times, and what have you, will be sent for verification. All of the location data, all of the people data. You might have said, I want Joanne, my co-founder, to participate in the meeting. All the constraints. And they'll be queued up for verification if we don't have the confidence level that we had hoped for. And once they've been kind of verified, if they need to be verified, they'll kind of go back in and be assembled on the other side for where we now know everything that's supposed to go on in this meeting, and
Yeah.
I can now send out a response.
Okay, so here it says, you said, sure, I'm up for it at 3:54. And by the way, we didn't set this up ahead of time. This is how it normally works.
This is it.
This is it. Okay, so you said, sure, I'm up for it at 3:54 p.m., which is when
Yep.
we tape this. At 3:57 p.m., I have a very beautiful email. Hi, Jason. Happy to get something on Dennis's calendar. Does Tuesday, March 1st at 11 a.m. Eastern Time work? Alternatively, Dennis is available on Tuesday, March 1st or Wednesday, March 2nd at these times. Do let me know if these times don't work, and I would be happy to suggest more options. And so if I hit reply here and I just say, those don't work,
And
how about the 10th? And I'm not going to put March. I'm just going to put the 10th. And now you're not even CC'd on this. It was just
Nope,
Amy.
I'm out.
You're out. So now I just say that. Now, that was too short for a human to look at this, right? So that was done. There was enough confidence in that one
Yes,
that it didn't.
because there's not really too much ambiguity in that little example. Typically, what happens is that you had a long, elaborate chit chat with one of your friends, and then all of a sudden you say, "Amy, can you make this happen?"
So you
make
have to
what
ignore
happen?
the first 2 or 3 lines of the email.
So this one was nice,
Easy.
which is wonderful for this demo, but typically it's more elaborate, more ambiguity is being applied to it. But still, we should be able to handle those.
Yeah. All right. So when we get back from commercial break, I want to know how far you are from not needing any human intervention. What percentage of them currently are being intervened on with a human, and how often you get it wrong? Because let's face it, Google now is reporting how many times the drivers had to take over. It's a lot. And in a lot of cases, it was a dangerous situation. So when we get back, what's the cost also of a failure here with x.ai when we get back on This Week in Startups? Let me take a moment to thank my friends at Squarespace. And the reason I want to thank them is because the Launch Festival website, launchfestival.com and launchhackathon.com are gorgeous. They are perfect. They look like we spent $250,000 on them. And I can tell you, when I priced out getting the launch websites built, people quoted me literally 6 figures to make a beautiful, robust website. You know what? I got Squarespace and I used their templates, and my team, without any technical knowledge, no developers, were able to make the most gorgeous websites that are responsive and look great on mobile or tablet or on the desktop, and have videos running in the background, and they integrate with everything we use. And they're so simple to use that I just said to my chief of staff, can you spend an hour teaching everybody how to use Squarespace so anybody can change the website? And he said, I did it in 5 minutes. It's that easy. So easy to use, so beautiful. And you can make a professional looking, well-designed, intuitive, and easy to use site with no code. It's just so easy. It's state-of-the-art technology. It's secure, it's stable, and it's trusted by millions. Some of the most respected brands in the world use it, in fact, and it starts at only $8 a month, which, if my math is correct, is like under $100 a year, which is ridiculous. And you get a free domain, in fact, if you sign up for a year. Start your free trial today. No credit card required. And if you decide to sign up for Squarespace, please use the offer code TWiST and get 10% off, because that makes them feel great about This Week in Startups and their support of it. So go ahead and thank @Squarespace on Twitter if you love the program. Literally, that's one of the best things. I don't ask you guys for much help, but literally telling everybody on your Twitter, I love Squarespace, I use Squarespace, thank you, Squarespace, for supporting TWI Startups. Super helpful, because you get the word out about their great product, you get the word out about how great the program is, and it all just works well. And I'll probably retweet you and favorite, so it's a good benefit for you too. Squarespace. Build it beautiful. What a great tagline. Build it beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Simple, easy, beautiful, and affordable. In fact, I think it's too cheap. I would pay $80 a month. I'd pay probably $800 a month for our service. This is good. Literally, it's worth $10,000 a year, and they're charging under $100. I don't get it. I don't know how they make this such a successful business. But I guess the secret is in the fact that millions of people use it. And when millions of people use your product, you know what? It becomes more stable, more reliable, faster, and you add more features because you're making money and you can invest in the platform. And that's one of the beautiful things I've seen. Every single quarter, Squarespace adds new features. Like they have a calendar feature, which we love. All this different support. We say, hey, I wonder if Squarespace can do this. And then we look on their blog, and it's just like this constant cadence of new product coming out of that company. The product cadence at Squarespace is really impressive. All right, anyway, listen, I could talk about Squarespace all day because I love the product. And as you know, the partners on this show, They're all people who we use their products. We call it whitelisted advertising here, whitelisted partnerships. Squarespace, amazing. Build it beautiful. Thank you to my friends at Squarespace. Hey, welcome back to This Week in Startups. I'm your host, Jason Calacanis. You can follow me on Twitter at Jason. You can follow me on Instagram at Jason. You can follow me on Snapchat at Jason Calacanis. And my guest today, Dennis Mortensen. He is the founder and CEO of x.ai. That's right, not x.com, x.ai, which is the new artificial intelligence, I guess, top-level domain name. x.ai, and it is a service that allows you to CC a virtual assistant, Amy, Andrew, etc., and they will connect your calendar and schedule every meeting you have. They're trying to solve for the 10 billion meetings and the waste of time it is to do this through artificial intelligence and some, I guess, machine learning of this. What's the difference between machine learning, for people in the audience who don't know, machine learning and artificial intelligence and what you're doing? How would you best describe what you're doing in terms of these big theories?
It's a good question. And I'm not so sure that any one of us have a really good answer for it. But I'm sure we can agree that being able to pick out a cat in a set of pictures is machine learning, and good machine learning.
Right.
Or figure out that it's actually Jason in that picture on Facebook.
Right.
Great machine learning. But I think there's also a crossover for where when you create this autonomous agent for where you can give it a job and it understands the objective and runs along without you and comes back days later, that we might have something that we could call a verticalized AI.
Verticalized AI. So what's the difference between horizontal AI and vertical AI? I know the difference. I want to hear from you.
So I like the idea of us perhaps defining a verticalized AI as some entity which can do one job only, but that one job extremely well. Say that of setting up meetings. And I think
self-driving cars.
Or self-driving cars,
right.
Very much so. And I think a horizontal AI would be perhaps what we would think of as Cortana or Siri and others that would become enablers, really. For where if you picked up your iPhone right now and asked it, hey, Siri, could you set something up between Dennis and I come early March in New York? She wouldn't understand what the hell you're talking about. Not even close, right? Doesn't even seem silly. But you could imagine a scenario where you could say, hey, Siri, could you have Amy set up a chat between Dennis and I? And that's kind of where I think they intersect. They become the enabler.
So we're going to have multiple artificial intelligence agents working for us.
Exactly.
One might be a very general one. One might be a very specific one. So I am obsessed with the Echo. I don't know. Do you have an Amazon Echo?
Oh, yes. Fucking love it.
Isn't it pretty amazing?
But it's funny how it's changed. So I'm not so sure that you counted how many times you talked to Siri over the last, say, 8 years.
Not at all.
Me too. Not
Never.
really.
No.
But I've talked so much to Alexa lately.
I talked to Alexa. Alexa, play the last episode of This Week in Startups. I just fired that off. I'm like, it's going to confuse a lot of them because they're playing This Week in Startups. But I use it all the time. My favorite is, Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes when I'm cooking.
Yep.
All the time. Alexa, play KQED, the local public radio. Alexa, pause.
But so
Alexa, order coffee. I mean, I've used all of these in the last week.
I use it every day.
How many
and
times? Like 5-10 times a day?
Yeah, like that. And
Me too.
It's not like I'm on commission from Jeff Bezos here to kind of tell you how
Neither
fantastic it is.
Neither of us are.
But
I
there's
wish.
something here, and I think I've come to at least my conclusion. I'd love to kind of hear your opinion here, but there's two things that I think change the game. One, that you can have a device for where size is not an issue. Like good, proper microphones. I can be 10 feet away and still say, hey, Alexa, what time is it?
It's exactly right. See, you're the only person who's picked up on this. I just had this conversation with somebody the other day when I said, I could be across the kitchen. I got a big kitchen. I'm literally 20 feet away, and I'm looking at the stove cooking, and I say, Alexa, at this volume, Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes. It is 20 feet away, and it sets it.
And that's crazy. That dynamic changes everything.
They have I don't know how many microphones they have in this thing, but it's like sonar or something. I've been on a different floor of my house. I've been one floor up and said, Alexa, turn off the timer. And it hears it. It hears it better than another family member.
So that's certainly one. And two, truly always on.
Yes.
As in really always on. So this is my iPhone. If I want to speak to Siri, click, authenticate, open, away from home screen, hold down. It's like, I forgot the question now. But with Alexa, I can just ask her.
Yeah, she's always listening.
Yeah.
That's what I love about her. I kind of got a thing going with Alexa right now.
Me too. And it kind of brings us back to, we will end up in that ecosystem for where I really just want you to say, hey, Alexa, make sure Amy sets something up with Dennis when I'm in New York.
Right.
I don't want to take Alexa away from you. I just want her really to handle that. And you hired a handful of intelligent agents to do some rudimentary work for you.
It's amazing how Alexa is so much better than Siri. And I think you're right. Like Apple needs to come up with an Echo-like device, or have your computer's microphone be on all the time so you can say stuff like, Alexa or Siri, take a memo, remind me to call Dennis when I'm in New York, or remind me to email Dennis tomorrow. And she doesn't do stuff like that. I hate Siri.
I don't know about you,
She's
but
got a chip on her shoulder.
I was so disappointed when they came out with the new Apple TV. What I had hoped for was
Yes.
really microphones, always on.
Why not? You have to press we have to go find the remote control.
First of all, the remote is
The remote's the
over
worst
there.
remote
Like, am I
ever.
getting up? I don't think so.
No.
The whole idea is that I'm
Terrible
here on the
remote.
couch to not go over there.
Yeah, play The Sopranos,
Yeah.
episode 7. Boom, we're done.
Yeah.
All right, let me go check my email here. Now tell me, of the queries you do, how many queries are humans reviewing at this point in time? Are they reviewing everything to make sure it's perfect, or how many? Half? Two-thirds?
So we're sending out hundreds of thousands of emails created by Amy every single month.
Uh-huh.
Over a half is done without any supervision. And I would say the slightly less than half are being verified. But you should think of this not as in reading an email, but as in some human are looking at in March, those two words, and see if what the machine guessed, as in month 3 of 2016.
Got it.
Is that correct? What the machine just suggested, do you agree with that? Yes. Okay, they don't even know that Jason and Dennis exist. It's just,
Right.
are those two words, do they equal?
And that's the training of the algorithm.
And so they'll just click yes, and we get tens of thousands of these data points every single day.
So somebody's just sitting there looking at March 2nd equals 2nd, or the 2nd of March
That's
equals
exactly
the 2nd.
how it looks like. Because if you ask my mom, she'll have this, oh, you got monkeys reading emails and typing away. No. That's not what's going on. It's those two words, do they equal this date? Because if I can equal those two, then I know the next time I'm a little bit wiser on that.
Right. How much smarter is it today than when you started, and when did you start doing this?
So we brought the team back together end of 2013.
Back together? What do you mean?
So our prior venture, which was a predictive analytics venture for media, you would actually love this. So we created this algorithm that could predict the performance of any given story on the homepage of major media destinations about half an hour into the future. And did that for 3 years, got acquired by Outbrain.
Got it.
Then my VP engineering.
Was that just too early?
It was too niche, as in we dealt with most of the top 100, but it was one of those, if I do well, this is going to be a $100 million business.
Got it.
But that's with if I do well.
Right.
That was the end of that. It was,
The end game was small.
But I loved it though, because I was...
So how would you predict what the next big story would be? You would look at social media and see which ones the
that's what
influencers we're talking about?
That's what we thought.
Yeah.
But if you go to, say, CNN, and I'm not revealing anything here, so they have 8 people employed full-time to do nothing but curate and set up the homepage of CNN.
Right.
They do about 200 updates on that homepage a day.
Right.
If you do that, you need some assistance. We provided them that assistance. And that was certainly a change, and that was
Got it.
super interesting.
So you said,
But
hey, here are some things you might consider.
things you should consider, but mostly this story that you put into the hero, that is the most viewed story. Why? Because you bloody put it there.
You put it in the top spot. That's why. It's
kind of
self-perpetuating list.
That's exact. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
But how about this other story, which is on the politics section front, which isn't getting many views, but it is getting a dramatic more set of views than it deserves. How
Right.
about you move that to the homepage?
Yeah. And other signals, like maybe likes, tweets, or paging down and reading the whole story.
All of that, yes.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So where are you at? We got the team together in 2013. You released the product when? To beta. When did the beta start? You took 2 years to get to beta?
So here's the... we're 2 years and still in beta.
Right.
We can talk about the conversations I have with SoftBank and the other investors on what does that look like. But this is super ambitious. Here's a funny story. So even before getting the team back together, the very first test I did was that I worked as an assistant for 2 months to figure out if even a human, given very little signal and no context, could solve this. And that worked out fine. So me and my co-founder actually did each other's meetings for 2 months. After that, I hired a full-time human personal assistant to say, let's see if I can do this for 50 friends. Did that for a couple of months. I said, it's on my dime. Let's see if you can do that. And that became the kind of belief that we could pull it off.
So you had one person do it for 50 people.
Yes. Obviously, it was not for the product. It was for, are we going to jump into this pool?
It's interesting because that sounds to me like where Zirtual was headed before they imploded, which was, hey, maybe there's one person who specializes just in this task, setting up meetings. This person specializes just in booking hotels.
And I'm not saying that's a bad business, but it's more like a outsourcing McKinsey-style, optimize the process type of business for where let's get to $40 million, which is cool.
Yeah.
But
they were at
it's not
10,
what, but this is not what I want to do. I want to take something for where it is only the select few, people like Jason, who can afford to have an assistant in place. No, I want to democratize this.
When did I become the select few? I'm the enemy now? What happened here, Dennis? When have I become the man?
You're the man. And
Jesus.
I want to kind of democratize this so that people who are not the man can get their own assistant, pay $9 for it.
Jason circa 1999 or 2005.
Something like that, yes.
Before I was the man. Now, at the beginning of this whole episode, I sent an email. We went back and forth. I got some options of time on your calendar from Amy Ingram. You made up her last name, I guess, to make it seem real, or does Ingram mean something?
So her initials are
AI.
And if you do anything in text analysis, you'll work with something called engrams. So it's kind of a geeky Easter egg.
So Ingram. Oh, I got you.
Yes.
I got. All right, very good. Well done.
We're propeller heads.
Yeah. Wow, annoying. Okay, just joking. It's very charming. So I said, those don't work. How about the 10th? And he said, just wanted to give you an update on Dennis's availability. Again, that sort of template sentence, which really, you probably worked a lot of time on that sentence.
Yes.
Because that feels like a human. Does Thursday, March 10th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time work? Alternative, Dennis available March 10th at 11 a.m. or 2 p.m. Dennis likes Dennis. Now we get where the location is. Dennis's office, 25 Broadway, New York, Amy. And I'm going to say, okay with 11 a.m., but can we meet at the Odeon?
In Tribeca.
I just put in the Odeon. I'm going to try to fuck her up. I'm going to try to make her make a mistake. But yes, the Odeon in Tribeca. I didn't put Tribeca. So I guess while we're waiting for that to get done, the question I have for you is, when are you going to open this up to everybody? Because there is this thing where people believe, and you're in this AI space, they're debating whether you have the goods or not, right?
Yep.
So in order to have the goods, you'd be able to open it up to everybody, right? But if you open it up to everybody, this is going to go crazy. And then what is the business model here? Subscription service?
We are a Dropbox Slack for intelligent agents.
So what's that?
You can sign up.
$5 per month per person?
Something like that. You can sign up, use it for free, but you have to do it in the name of Amy at x.ai. I might have a pro edition. You can change the name, choose the signature.
Amy at launch.co, Amy at
exactly.
inside.com.
Yes. And you pay me $9 a month.
$9 a month, so $120 a year, something like that, $100 a year.
Yep.
And I get all that service.
Yes.
Amazing.
Which is something that will underline that we can't do that with humans.
No, impossible.
That's just impossible,
So when
right?
does that happen, do you think?
We are launching
2016 now.
2016, not February, not December. That leaves us with another 9 months.
Perfect. You launch it March 2nd, 3rd, or 4th at the launch
I would
festival.
say more like May, June.
May or June.
Yeah,
People are going to be able to get their hands on this and start playing with it. And will it be free to start, and you'll have a free version and then a paid, or free for 30 days? What's your thoughts on how you're going to run it as a business? Because you're going to have to start making money if you got 60 mouths to feed.
But there's just such a tremendous network effect built into what we do here. For where if you also use Amy, that means when I CC in Amy right now, what you could have said was, wonderful, Dennis. Let me CC in Andrew on my end. He can hash it out with Amy. But if Andrew is Amy, who the hell is she talking to?
You just blew my mind.
She's talking to
herself.
herself.
You and I have the same assistant.
Exactly.
So she's got both schedules in front of her. She just tell you the day.
It turns instant. It's like magical. We call it scheduling nirvana around the office.
Yeah, which there were some products and services around that did let you, I forgot the names of them, but you could have like an open schedule and you could just kind of publish it and people could just pick.
Yeah, the Doodle Me, the Tungle Me, the likes. And I'm not saying that's bad, but I don't want to expose or open up my calendar.
No.
I want to meet up with Jason, though.
That's annoying, yeah. So people can't put themselves. So what do you see on your side now that I've said the Odeon?
So
and not your office.
So what we see here is that she will either have found, if you check your phone, or confirm with you whether it's the Odeon in Tribeca.
Got it. Okay, so he said, thanks for letting me know. I'll send out an invite once I've confirmed that the Odeon works for Dennis.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And the reason for that is she needs my
permission.
Just like
to change the location. So you gave her an okay. Anybody at my office is okay, which is what I told my assistant too, which is, hey, anybody wants to meet, if it's at the Rose Cafe or at my office, that's perfect, or the Battery, but anywhere else, let's talk about it. And then you have to play that crazy game of like, who's more important and gets to pick the location.
And I can't have, and you and I have certainly done that, certainly early in my career, I know exactly how to play the assistant to get the meeting with the SVP of whatever kind of media organization.
Where?
Yeah.
But you don't get to pick where?
No, but I also need to make sure that you can't sell Amy. So we have, for example, if you just email her without emailing me saying, hey, does Dennis have an hour?
Yeah.
Perhaps, but I'm going to email Dennis and ask him if he even want to meet with you.
Ah, that's interesting.
So you can't game
you can't
her.
do that end run.
Exactly.
Yes, because that is I get that a lot, which is people, they find out who my chief of staff is, they know Bryce is the chief of staff, and they say, Bryce, can I meet with Jason? And then I had to give Bryce, like, if it's a portfolio company, automatically put them on the calendar. If it's anybody else, ask.
Yeah.
Portfolio company or an LP, put them on a calendar, just ask them what they want to talk about. Boom, that's it.
And I think that's the way an assistant is supposed to work, right?
Yeah, you know what the power move is?
No.
The power move is when you're obviously the more powerful person in the situation with the meeting, is to say, where would you like me to be? And to do it on your own. So I started doing that a little bit. Like, when can I meet with you? Let me know where to go.
I like it.
Because then like people are like, I'll go wherever you want, Jason. Now that you've dubbed me the man. I got to work on this now that I'm the man. Dennis,
you are the man now.
I don't want to be the man. Trust me, that's when you get shot, man. I don't want to be the man.
She just got back to me. Hey, Dennis, Jason has asked that this meeting be at the Odeon, 155 Broadway, which is in...
Yes, West Broadway.
Yeah, exactly, in Tribeca. Does that work for you? I'll just reply back to her here saying, sure.
Okay.
And I could have put in a kind of sad face, but for the purpose of this demo, I will not.
Perfect. That works. Okay, so where do you think all of this AI is going? So you're going to release it to everybody. That's great. Where do you think this is all going? Because you took on meetings. If you get meetings right, which it seems you have a reasonable idea here of how to do it right. Like, I'm pretty convinced that this will work. And it has a little human intervention. That's fine, confirming stuff. And if it makes a mistake, it's really not that big of a deal, is it? Because...
So we are quite...
What's the biggest mistake you've made? Like, did you send somebody to the wrong location?
Yes.
That's a big one.
I want to lie to you.
Yeah.
But if I'm really honest...
I can tell. I'm looking at you in the eyes. I see it. You're like... where did you send somebody? Did you send somebody to Siberia or something? And it was supposed to be the Siberia coffee shop, and they literally booked a ticket to Siberia to meet with me?
So my worst case scenario that I keep kind of telling people, including our investors, is this whole, you send me to Westchester at 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there alone in the rain, waiting for somebody to arrive, and they don't.
Uh-huh.
Then I'm going to go from being amazed to pissed very quickly.
Yeah. You're going to sue.
It's like...
Lawsuit.
What the hell? However, we have this kind of very fortunate setting that meetings are asynchronous, that you and I don't set up a meeting instantly.
Right.
We're setting up a meeting for March. That means even if she came back with Odeon being in New Jersey, I would have spotted saying,
are we
no?
sure?
Are we sure about that?
Does it send a meeting confirmation and CC both parties at the end?
So come the end of this, you and I will receive an invite. And I can object, say, I'm not going to New Jersey to meet with Jason.
So you have that final thing.
Exactly, for where we can both. So it's only when people are just so trusty in Amy that they just accept blindly.
Right. So that is the power of Amy, is that at some point you will trust her or Andrew
you just
blindly.
Yes, sure, she's in control.
Yes, but you did send somebody to the wrong location. What happened in that? Tell me what happened without telling the people. Where did you send somebody? What happened?
Midtown. But Midtown is, I'm not even sure what's that similar to her.
Oh, that's not that bad of a deal.
No,
but you told them what? To a different location of like a cafe or something?
A different cafe in Midtown for where that was just not the one. That means two people are now sitting at
two different cafes.
Two different cafes, the same name. They got multiple kind of cafes.
Right. So if you say Starbucks, you have to confirm which Starbucks.
Exactly.
And that does happen. But people have each other's mobile numbers.
Yes.
See, this is the other thing that you could do to solve this, is if it did double opt-in mobile numbers, and then you set it to send SMS reminders, because here's what I do with my assistant. It's a manual task. I get SMS'd
Yeah.
everything for the day in the morning, just to make sure in case something went wrong with the calendar, because things do go wrong. And then in the calendar, every single person has my SMS, my mobile number. I have their mobile number. So in case something goes wrong, everybody's aware, and they don't even have to go through assistance or email. They can just text. But if you did that and you texted everybody that, and on the same iMessage thread or whatever SMS thread, you fired off a Twilio. Can you fire off a Twilio to confirm like the meeting's happening?
We could, yes. So what we do, see
that's what
some
I want.
people.
That's a pro feature.
Exactly. That whole kind of like when TripIt, for example, let you check in on the app, but before that they don't.
Yeah.
Those, I think, one of those features where, you know what, I use this for work, I'll pay $9 just to make sure that if something goes wrong, I can kind of at least text the guy.
What would be great is if it just did it, if it fired off a text and email that just said confirming today's meeting at this time, at this location, and it did that in the morning for all your meetings, and then hit reply if there's a change or whatever, and boom.
So here's the funny thing. So
That'd
since
be
this is
so
set up
great.
for March, Amy will actually notify me in the morning when this meeting is about to happen.
Amy does, yeah.
Yeah, because when we've done it more than 10 days away, she reminds me that, hey, please be aware, you know, Jason's coming to town. You set this meeting up, you know, back in January.
And does it all go on Google Calendar? Most people use that, or Outlook, or whatever.
So right now we're working on Google Calendar, simply just because
it's the most open API and easy to use.
Exactly.
Right. What's next? I mean, it seems to me like you got this one in the bag. You're going to get it done this year. You're going to have a revenue model. I think everybody's going to use this. You're going to get 1 million people using this for $10 a month. You got your $120 million a year company. Congratulations. What's next after you get to 100 million in revenue off of this? Because it's obviously going to happen.
I want to make sure that we get to the end of this. I want to be the guy for where I don't get to a point for where I'm kind of half-assed at 7 things. I want to be world-class at one thing.
So you want to get the last 10% or 20% of this problem?
I want you and I to have a laugh at some point and say, hey, for 30 years, we did email ping pong. That was fucking ridiculous.
Yes.
Then these guys came along, and over 4 years, they completely eliminated it. I can't even remember how we set up meetings. So I want to chase that 10 billion meetings to the bitter end.
It's like people having like a map in their car. And we were all for until like 1990 something, we all had maps in our cars.
Yeah.
And if you moved to LA, you had to buy this book because everything was so fakaka in LA. And now it's like, who has a map? I mean, when's the last time you even owned a map? I mean, maps are like being sold on eBay as like...
As something you put on the wall, right?
Yeah, it's like an old like piece of, ephemeral... like it's incredible that it even existed. Like there's a map of streets. Nostalgia, thank you, producer Jackie. Okay, you want to nail this, I get it. But what's the second thing? There's got to be something next that you're thinking of. What would be next?
So you and I...
Shopping agent?
So I think... So you and I, right now, we could walk to the whiteboard, spend exactly 10 minutes, come up with 15 actually good ideas.
What do the 15 people come up with?
So...
Like where should there be? What other AI company should there be? Shopping?
So I live in New York. Yeah. If the meeting's in Miami, how do I get to Miami?
Got it. Yeah.
If I'm in Miami, where do I stay? How do I get from the airport to the meeting place?
Got it.
Since I booked all of these things for you, who keeps the receipts? There's just so many things for where it is even related to the meeting itself.
Right.
Where if you already trust Amy, I could take that on.
Sure.
So that I think is going to be the natural extension.
Right. So what Operator is doing, which I think is like more on that lines, which is more human intervention. Like I need somebody to come, shine my boots shine my shoes before I go on this trip, and press my suit. And I need that all for Sunday. I need to get it all done, and I'm leaving Sunday, and I need a car to the airport, and I need you to buy me a ticket. That all being done manually, which is sort of like the virtual business. The virtual business will start to come into the x.ai business.
I would like, though, that anything which we take on is going to be completely machine-driven. I don't want to be in the human outsourcing business. That means the first time we schedule a trip, if we do so, it is machine-driven. It's something where you say, hey, Amy, make sure that you get a couple of tickets for Miami for the weekend. I need to be back by 10 a.m. Monday. She needs to be able to understand that, be able to kind of coordinate with the airlines and book that ticket without having a human look at it.
Which is how I remember in the General Magic demos, going and getting an airline ticket was like the holy grail of it. Like, I got your ticket, you're all set.
these are the two most obvious examples: booking meetings and scheduling travel.
Yeah.
Because we used to have an agent. It was called a travel agent.
Yeah.
I used to call her on the phone and say,
Yeah.
hey, can you get me, a couple of tickets for this destination at that price point? She would work on it. A couple of days later, she would come back and give me a couple of options. And I'll pick one of them. But I want that to be machine driven when we go there. Right now, chasing 10 billion meetings.
And see, it's kind of mind blowing because I'm trying to figure out exactly where it ends, right? Because we know that the robots, right? See, we know robots are going to do any manual labor, right? I think it's a foregone conclusion that every sandwich, every cup of coffee, and every taxi cab ride in the next between 10 and 20 years will be replaced by a robot. But with AI, we all believe that you could get scheduling and you could buy the tickets, but where does the AI stop? And, in the 10 to 20 year window, what else? Are we going to be able to say, write me a blog post about this topic, or, get me more traffic, and spend no more than 50 cents per visitor and convert them to AI? Is there going to be a growth hacker in the sky where you do growth.ai and I just say, growth hacker, get me 1,000 people to visit x.ai for $1 each and convert at 5% of users to paid?
So I believe in all of those.
Yeah.
Because they are all verticalized AIs for where if enough propeller heads get into a dark enough basement for long enough, out comes some agent with some capability. And that I can get behind, certainly in the kind of 10, 20-year horizon. What I don't yet buy into is this kind of human-level AI for where you read the same books, super intelligent, you've seen the same kind of doomsday blog posts coming out.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. Heck, I'm even super optimistic on what this is going to do to the workforce. I think we're going to end up
What is it going to do?
I think we're going to end up with more jobs, more exciting jobs.
Really? So, what will those jobs be?
Let's take even just the one for where it would be very easy to kind of attack what we do here. Dennis, don't you have any empathy for the hundreds of thousands of assistants right now doing work for where a major
Are there
part is setting up
millions?
meetings?
Millions of them probably.
Yes.
Hundreds of thousands, millions, yeah.
And do you know what? I would much rather, if I had an assistant, which I don't, but say, your assistant, instead of doing ping pong with Amy, she should have met me in the downstairs lobby, greeted me, brought me up to the 7th floor, brought me a cup of coffee, moved me in here. That comfort that would have provided, that 10 minutes of investment would have been much higher value here than in doing ping pong with Amy.
I agree. Now you're talking sense. I agree somebody should meet me downstairs with a cup of coffee. This makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
In my bizarre world. Yes. I should get out of my Tesla. There should be a cup of hot coffee, and I should be walked into the studio. Jackie, take a memo, please.
So whatever version of that for where, that level of empathy, the machine just can't apply. But doing email ping pong, it's not a human job.
No, I agree to a certain extent. I mean, when we had the phone switch was originally, 1 million operators or whatever were switching phones and transferring them, and that work kind of sucked. And we're going to see the same thing happen with cab drivers or people who are baristas or pizza delivery people. Like, what's the point of somebody having to have a pizza delivery job? Like, there's something better for them in society, don't you think? Or are you a socialist? I'm joking. I know you're from a we had a pre-conversation. You're from a socialist company.
So I think I will become a citizen in time, because I just did the interview last week to actually, for the first time, vote in the last...
Oh, you're going to become a citizen of the United States?
Yes.
You're from Denmark, though.
From Denmark, yes.
Yeah.
I did the interview last week.
Wow. What do they interview you about? To make sure you're not a terrorist, or you have to...
No, so here's some of the questions. So you tell me one of the representatives in the House for your state. Tell me who the 2 senators that...
Jesus,
represent New York.
I just failed.
Tell me how many amendments to the Constitution that we've done.
Oh, so it's like a test. Yeah.
It's a test. I passed, by the way.
You did?
27 amendments.
Wow. I actually literally forgot the number of amendments. I mean, I could have told you all of them at a point in time.
I rehearsed because I thought I should.
I think we should now, in order to vote in the next election, you should have to take the test. That would be that's my little suggestion. Everybody has to take the test again. Because everybody's so dumb. Nobody cares anymore, and everybody's going to vote for Trump.
See, yeah, that's going to be exciting. I shouldn't comment. That's going to be exciting.
But you're from Denmark, and you came here to work in the United States. Why did you build this company in Denmark?
So
It's hard to be an entrepreneur there.
So the funny thing is, it should be the easiest place because you got nothing to lose. As in, even if I fail, I lose credibility, money, everything.
Yeah.
My kids will go to school and get healthcare. So we have free healthcare for life. We got free education. We got paid education. As in, you get paid to go to school.
Paid what, like when you're in college?
Yeah, 7 years about. And that means my kids are not going to lose anything. They will win, no matter how risky a bet I go do. Somehow, it doesn't translate into what we have here. So,
which is what, the crazy risk taking?
Yes.
The drive?
Here, it should be the opposite for where if you lose over here.
Here's the thing. You have to, if you don't take care of yourself here and you don't win, you could be homeless.
Here.
In Denmark, you don't have that option.
There's no losing. But the sad part is,
listen. The worst case scenario for somebody in Denmark is you go to Christiania, and you become a stoner. That's as bad as it gets for you guys.
That is really rock bottom, and that's probably not even that bad.
Right.
But there's not really any losing, and I think the mentality of not having a setting for where you can lose doesn't bring out the best in people.
Right.
When you're at the edge, looking into the abyss, that's when you do your best work.
Right, so you like the risk taking.
I like the risk.
Yeah.
I like the idea of...
But you pay a lot of tax over there. I mean, we're complaining about taxes over here getting to 50%. What did you pay over there?
So, just before I left, I paid 68% in taxes. So when people kind of...
Wait. You're saying you kept 68 and you gave 32 to the government.
No. I paid 68.
I know, I'm joking. That's incredible. So that means if you made $100,000 a year...
Yep.
Is that the tax bracket for like 100 or 200,000? That's maybe 200,000 or something?
No.
100?
Less than that.
So
just about 100.
So if you made 100, you would literally bring home $32,000.
Yep.
No.
32K.
Is what your take-home pay would be on a $100,000 salary. So if you made 200,000, your take-home pay would be 60. It's incredible.
However, you get sick. You just go to the doctor.
I don't get sick. See, this is not a good deal for me.
You have a couple of kids. You want to send them to school.
Yeah, that I'm feeling.
And I'm not here to advocate. This is not one for where I'll spend 40 minutes talking tech and then slowly I will kind of embark on some sort of propaganda here. It's just that it's a very different system. And it's obviously a system for where I think if you really want to be an entrepreneur or one of the best entrepreneurs. Kind of like if you want to be the best footballer, you go play for Barcelona or Bayern Munich. You don't go play for some odd soccer football club in Denmark. This is it. If you want to be among the best, go be out here or in New York. And that
makes
I like.
sense. You gotta, I mean, so this isn't a front. I mean, people talk about, it's interesting. There's an expression amongst the sort of elite power brokers about getting to Denmark. I don't know if you ever heard this term, but getting to Denmark means having a functional government that serves the people. When people in Denmark want something, the time it takes for the government to do it is typically a short period of time. People feel very well represented in the country. Or is there a huge lag or like divisiveness like in this country where nobody seems to get what they want? It takes 30 years for pot to be legalized or gay marriage to happen. If the majority of people want something in Denmark, it does happen pretty quick.
It does happen. First of all, because of just sheer size of the nation, which is smaller.
5 million people, 10 million people?
Yeah, 6 million people. And the kind of political system which we put in place. That means all of the things that we see over here, whether that be legalized marijuana, gay marriage, we were the first nation in the world to do that. Even when people ask me, what's your viewpoint? I grew up on that. I don't know anything else. As in, I thought that was the normal.
Right.
So things are just kind of very different in that regard. And even kind of what I like, kind of technical things, as in every single government agency is mandated to have every single form to be available on the internet. You cannot run a government agency unless you have a form on the internet. So you can't use paper in that regard.
Right.
And that's something for where...
So you demand that the government be run well.
Yeah.
Just like Noma.
Yeah.
That place was great. Have you been there?
Yeah.
Is that your favorite, or what's the other new place that people are talking about? There's a new place, not Noma. There's a new one that people are talking about. Do you have a favorite? I'm talking about the greatest restaurant in the world,
Yes.
Noma. People say it's the
Did you
greatest
see?
restaurant
I
in the
think
world.
there's actually just a movie that's coming out soon.
Yeah. About Noma?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. A documentary or something? you
Yeah,
said?
exactly. I think it's coming out on Netflix in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something like that.
I had a pretty great meal there.
It is
I was there earlier this
spectacular,
year.
yes.
It's pretty amazing. All right, listen, we could talk for days. Everybody go check out x.ai and join the mailing list. It's going to be opening up soon, so if you get on the mailing list, you might get in early. Look at the great investors. Oh, my friends from Pritzker are over there, and SoftBank, and Eric Hippo, and SoftBank, all kinds of good people. Listen, I think you invited me to the beta, so I'm going to start playing with it. Now, what do I do? Wait a second. If I already have an assistant, do I have to have my assistant sign up for it, and then my assistant has an assistant?
So
What do you do? What do you advise in that situation?
So
Because I want her to know what's going on.
So you could have kind of a double assistant setting.
Uh-huh.
Most of the people that see that kind of instant gratification of getting an assistant are those that are not the man, those that don't have an assistant,
Got it.
those that are just alone.
Right.
So those are most of the people, but we actually do support that setting.
Yeah.
Mostly because we need to understand when a guest have an assistant for where I want to meet up with the guys from SoftBank and I say,
Yeah.
hey, Jordy, do you got time for me to pop by next week? He says, sure. I sees it in Crystal.
Yeah.
And she can help put something on my calendar.
Got it.
So we need to know that, Dennis is not meeting with Crystal, he's meeting with Jordy, but we need to speak to Crystal before we can meet
Got
with
it.
Jordy. So we
Multiverse.
already understand that concept. Otherwise, we couldn't exist as an assistant in this universe.
I love it. I think it's great. And you know what? I know one or two people who actually use it. And I talked to them before the show, and they were like, it's amazing. It just works. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They just said, like, it just works. Now, the question is going to be, will they pay for it?
That's a good question. I am not
Half
too
the people
worried.
won't pay for it.
I'm most
And then you'll have a huge
sure.
market. How many people you have working on this now? How many people are using it now? Tens of thousands? Hundreds of thousands? Thousands?
Tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Yes.
So if you keep half of them, you've got a $10 million a year business.
Yep. But that's not what I'm going for.
I understand that. I'm just saying you'll
Yeah.
be able to
No,
pay
as
these
in,
60 developers.
I can pay the rent, right? As in,
Yeah.
I'm in good shape.
Yeah.
No, I want to create my own personal Slack or Dropbox. That's my fantasy. This is
I
going
think
to be
it's
my
pretty.
keeper.
I think it'll work because here's the thing: $9 is not so much to pay for a corporation with 10 people in it. If you paid $1,100 and everybody said, "Well, what were you going to use the assistant for anyway?" If we had a group assistant, and then if the group assistant gets those hours back, it's pretty easy to know how many meetings were scheduled. And you can just say, well, you can put a dollar value. Every meeting takes 15 minutes to schedule. Every 4
You were
meetings.
very close. So we've done those studies
Oh, yeah?
already. It takes 17 minutes. So you're
Okay.
very close. 17 minutes.
Well, I'm taking
just-
into account like the back and forth. But anyway, so
Yeah.
if it takes 17 minutes, you get 3 an hour. If you have 3 an hour and you're paying your assistant $25 an hour and you're doing 30 meetings a month, it's 10 hours a month, it's $250 a month, and you're paying 9. The math makes total sense.
The delta is just so dramatic that you're not even going to think about, is this a good return on investment? It's like, sure.
Of course
I'll do
it is.
that.
Yeah, easy. All right, listen, continued success with it, and everybody go check it out, and you can follow Dennis Mortensen on the Twitter. What an amazing product. And you're based in New York.
Yep.
Where in New York are you? It's my hometown.
Wall Street.
You're on Wall Street, huh? It's interesting. Where?
So I live right across the exchange and the company's right across the Bull.
Oh, right by the Bull, like
Yeah.
42 Broadway area?
25 Broadway. Close.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My first office when I was at Barrister Information Systems was 42 Broadway.
Okay.
And
That's,
then I knew a cop. I can't say this story on the air. Anyway, if you go to the Bull, there's a little dent in the Bull. That's all I'm going to say.
so you know what? You know the whole story
I can't
of,
tell you how the dent got there.
So people do know, right, that you're supposed to go to the Bull,
And get on it. No, and hold the
tickle it, right?
tickle the cojones.
Yeah, I was
Really?
thinking about what can you say on this show?
I said cojones.
No, okay, that's
Yeah,
exactly
Spanish
what it
for
is.
balls.
You know, that is providing good luck, and there's a line
What?
of-
That's good luck. Is to go
And
tickle the cojones.
tickle the cojones by the Bull
Wait,
on
you
Wall
just made
Street.
this up.
No, hey,
Listen, just because you did it doesn't mean it's a tradition.
like it's a tradition. I'm the only one. I do it every morning. It's like, hey,
On the way in. No, do people really do this? Are they lined up
hey,
doing this?
there's a line of people every day.
No.
No, the police is there. There's a line of people,
No.
young girls sitting by the Bull, and they're
No,
this big,
no, no,
right?
no, no.
Each of them are this big, and
There's not a lot of people tickling the balls of the
Right
bowler.
now, you should, if we had another couple of minutes, you should go search that up on the internet.
I'm going to advise everybody right now to not type tickling the bull's balls into Google. Do not type that in.
That's a real thing.
You are.
And that's why I work.
Your own. Do it at your own risk. On that note, this has been an amazing episode. Thank you for Dennis. I think we know the title of this episode, Tickling the Cojones. We'll see you all next time. Bye-bye. Hey, I want to take a moment to thank the partners who make the Launch Festival possible. We have 15,000 people we expect to come to the Launch Festival March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and 1,000 of them are going to come to the Launch Hackathon on February 26th, 27th, and 28th. It's now our 8th year doing the conference, and we couldn't give away so many free tickets and so many free tables and run a free hackathon if it wasn't for partners like McDonald's. And McDonald's is attending Launch to look for tech and startups that can help them on their digital transformation, especially in the areas of commerce, customer engagement, loyalty, IoT, on-demand mobility, retail innovation, and family entertainment. For example, what is the future of the Play Place inside of McDonald's? And McDonald's, Deela Jackson, who's the VP of Global Digital, will be giving a main stage presentation, and McDonald's Greg Sugar, who is the Global Digital Business Development Head, will be judging a pitching session on the main stage. They're also going to be co-hosting the opening night gala on Wednesday evening. That's March 2nd. Stop by their booth at the festival to see how you can help McDonald's on their quest to go digital, and you can follow McDonald's Corp. And I am going to be judging the McDonald's pitch competition in South by Southwest on March 11th. And I'm a huge fan of Filet-O-Fish. That's what I love. I get the Filet-O-Fish. I buy 2 of them. I get rid of the buns because you guys know I'm on the, what do they call that, ketosis, trying to lose a little weight. Yeah, I'll splurge on some French fries, of course. Get the Diet Coke and 2 of those Filet-O-Fish. I love it. Actually, that's what I'm thinking I'm going to go get after this, now that I'm reading this ad. All right, listen, thanks to our partners. We couldn't do it without you. And the Launch Festival is essentially a break-even proposition. We do it as a nonprofit to support the community, inspire innovation, and get those founders who are debuting a big stage. You know, in a big stage, hey, that stage costs money, and it takes partnerships to do it. And McDonald's is part of the family, and we thank them for supporting entrepreneurs.